Okay, folks, I'm on a bit of a roll tonight, so I might as well just keep going, build up the archive a bit. So, I talk about this a lot, but just because this question keeps coming up again and again, or issues around germination keep coming up again and again, I'm here by the way. Um, I'm just going to walk through what's happening here with the sunflower crop. So I've sowed my crop. And what I've done, we fill the tray with soil. We get the soil moist but not saturated because we don't want all the space in there to be filled with water. Otherwise, there's no space for gases and especially oxygen. We seed on top and we do not cover it with soil. We mimic the crop being under soil by putting a tray on top and then putting pressure on the tray. Now, you don't put a little bit of pressure on. You don't put 3 trays on and think it's enough. You put a lot of pressure. And this applies to almost every crop, whether it's the most hardy or the most delicate. The difference between the hardy and the delicate crops is the hardy ones you can keep the weight on for the whole germination period. For the more delicate ones, you want to take that weight off at a certain point because they won't have the strength to push that tray up. So you're getting a number of advantages with this. There's a bunch of stuff that happens. Number one, your crop is covered, so it's in the dark. There's not going to be any photosynthesis until you uncover it. You want the minimum amount of photosynthesis to get you to a nice green crop at harvest time. Too much photosynthesis is going to create bitter compounds which aren't going to be good. Number two, having this covered is going to keep the moisture in. There's nowhere for the moisture to evaporate, so basically anything that does evaporate onto the top of the tray is basically going to drip back down. Number three is the weight is going to press the seeds into the moist soil. That's what's going to make sure the seeds absorb the water and continue with the germination process. Without that pressure, seeds aren't going to germinate well. And this is a really easy trial to do, and I would actually really encourage you to do this. Grow 3 trays of sunflower right beside each other. This is 30 pounds, but 30 pounds on one, 15 pounds on another, and just a single tray on the other one. And you'll see very, very clearly what the weight does. Time and time again we see this when we have stacks and stacks of sunflower and we for some reason forget to put a weight on one of the stacks. Just you get distracted, and then what happens is you've got a stack of 3. The top one doesn't germinate very well at all. The second one is okay. The third one is almost fine because it's got the 2 trays on top. But the weight on top is crucial. Fourth thing is that you are putting pressure on the plant. So as it grows up, it's actually growing quite a strong stalk. And this is going to give you a nice quality eating microgreen. It's also, I think, actually helps with storage. For some reason, maybe cells are closer together, there's not as much space between cells, and so things don't decompose as quickly. So I'm going to take this off here now. So once again, each of these blocks are 15 pounds each. They cost like a couple bucks at Home Depot, so they're not a huge expense. I'm going to take both of those off of there. We're going to lift that off. So this is interesting. We'll get a whole bunch of stuff covered in this one. So I've got fairly good even germination, but I've got mold on here. And let me tell you, I don't get mold. Any guesses why I've got this mold? I want to hear your thoughts on this, especially folks who have seen some of my other videos. This mold may actually correct itself, but I can see it's actually doing damage to the crop. So this is going to be inedible. It won't grow well. But my germination is actually really quite good. I'll tell you a few things I did. This tray is fairly heavy. So what does that tell you about this tray? I also prepped these trays, and they sat here for a week or so before they got sowed. You can tell these ones have a pretty good amount of weight in them. I will tell you that when I put these trays into my water tray to water them from beneath, they absorb the water really, really quickly. I can tell you that this is in my kitchen, and my kitchen window has been closed a lot more this week, and that I don't have a fan in here. So those are some things I'm going to tell you for you to think about why I have mold on this. And this is really hurting my ego right now. I'm feeling my whole reputation is being destroyed right at this moment right now. But one of the reasons I wanted to do, there's 2 reasons I wanted to do these videos live. One is it's just way less editing and way more efficient. And 2 is so you can see not all the awesome stuff that happens all the time and how perfect all the crops I grow are, but that stuff does happen. So again, take a look at that. This is unacceptable. I hope you can see that quite well. Yeah, good. This is just not good at all. It's somewhat embarrassing, but I'm coping with it quite well. It's a waste of seed. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of soil. So I'm going to sow some more right away. I'll probably do that tomorrow. And I'm going to need to do some things differently. So given the information that I've told you, first of all, think about any time you've seen this. And for those of you who haven't seen this yet, it's coming one day. And so just get a sense of what the factors are, what I should have done, what you could do to avoid it, what you did do to avoid it. Work through some of that stuff. And then before I sow my next tray, there's a few things I know I'm going to do different, and I'd be curious to hear what others think. So really interesting to see this, because I've been using this soil mix before with Sunnies and had pretty good results. But there's one specific thing that I told you about this tray and this soil in there that I think is a big factor. So if you want to leave a comment into what you think it is, knowing some of the stuff I've talked about in the past, I think I've just mentioned something that I haven't talked about before, and I didn't go into detail about it here, about why this happened like it did, but it's something I think is important to consider, and something to look at in the organic realm. So I'm going to leave you with that. I will start another tray of sunflower for tomorrow, and as I do that, I'll talk about what I'm going to do while I'm doing it. That way, if you haven't had a chance to work stuff out, I'll give you most of the answers then. So yes, this is Chris's failed sunflower shoot crop because of mold and poor maintenance and clearly just not paying good enough attention. So it happens to me, and it can happen to you.